Welcome to this week's Eccentric Minute, brought to you by Eccentric. In this week's Eccentric Minute, we'll discuss another one of our foundational exercises, and that is the K-pulley leg drive. To execute this, you're going to need to set some sort of support right out in front of you where you're going to be about under your shoulders and allowing your body to extend out at a 45-degree angle. From here, you're going to let your hips sink straight back towards the K-pulley, and I want you to push as hard as you can with your feet to drive your shoulders up and out at a 45-degree angle by extending your hip, knees, and ankles. This is a great exercise to start training your athletes to be up off their heels and to drive through the ball of their feet and their big toe as we move forward in training. Give this one a shot, guys. I think this is one that you're going to love and your athletes are really going to enjoy. I really hope you enjoyed this week's Eccentric Minute. Make sure you check them out at eccentric.com to find out everything you need about the K-box and the K-pulley. Being a strength and conditioning professional requires constant pursuit of better knowledge, better methods, and better means. But what if there was a place where strength and conditioning coaches could learn from some of the most innovative practitioners in the world, such as Jeff Moyer, Lachlan Wilmot, William Wayland, James the Thinker Smith, and Keir Wenham Flatt? Well, you could find multiple lectures from each of these top-level coaches and a few lectures and examples from yours truly as well, all in the Strength Coach Network. The Strength Coach Network is going to bring you well over 100 different lectures from some of the top practitioners in the world to be your one-stop shop for your continuing education and professional development. So hop on over to strengthcoachnetwork.com/CVASP today and get your 48-hour trial for only $1. That's strengthcoachnetwork.com/CVASPS to get your 48-hour trial for only $1. I look forward to seeing you in the Strength Coach Network. Hello, and welcome to the podcast. Today we are going to discuss training modalities, mistakes we've made in the past, building relationships, and the importance of conversation with athletes with Todd Hamer. This was the first of our Instagram live talks that we've been doing lately, and this is really a talk that's chock full of just great nuggets. Ham has always been someone that's been super open to sharing and trying to help coaches be better. So I really thought this was awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed this talk as much as I did. Let's get right to it.
Hey.
What up, Ham?
What's up, brother? How are you?
Man, I'm doing pretty all right. How are you?
Let's see. Dog's good. Coffee's hot. Just surviving.
Brilliant. I miss the hair and I miss the beard.
Yeah, me too. We got a little hat head going on. It's my look now. The beard, it's I hated the beard. It was terrible. It was miserable. It was miserable.
Come on, man. You got fans showing up in the chat already. I love it.
It is. Guinness.
Where's Tenth?
He's downstairs watching Moana.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's just chilling, doing his thing.
You guys are shut down for right now?
Yeah, I had to make the call on Saturday. Me and my boss. So, a little history. Union Fitness is owned by basically a real estate company who initially the gym in just as an amenity to the other businesses in town, or the other businesses, the buildings they owned. And it kind of just took off, mainly because my predecessor, Casey, did such a great job with it that it just took off. And from there, I came in as general manager. And so I had to speak with my boss. We've been in constant contact. And basically, Saturday we talked about it, and I was like, it's going to happen. Why would we wait? To me, with what's going on, why wait? I made a post today, which probably upset some people, where I said, I think it's irresponsible of colleges to still have scheduled lifts. And it's not about me and the kids that we're training. It's about them going home to their parents and their grandparents and being a carrier of a disease that, is just it's something new to us that we haven't had before. So I think it's important right now just to take it easy. And hopefully if we do that in 2-3 weeks, we're all back training, doing our thing. And, Tim Belts is something a long time ago that always stuck with me. He said early in my career, I would get so upset when Jamie Dixon would call and say, hey, we can't lift today. And he's like, that's our thing about it. It's like, is one lift really going to change things? is really going to make a difference. And you know what? Tim was right. And I know you know Timmy well.
Mm-hmm.
He's a wise man.
No doubt. No doubt. Coach Mark Spellman, saw you on there. What's good, buddy? Thanks for hopping on. But we got some people rolling in, Ham. So we might as well talk about some things we were going to talk about, and then open this up for a little question and answer. I don't know, can you see the questions, Ham, underneath? Or like people like scrolling through?
Our uni teams all I lost that one.
Training for the next while.
Training for the next while.
We've posted lots of home minimalist programs.
And I think that's the thing. Right after this, I'm going to hop on my personal page and just do a workout on my deck. The reality is, and you know this, you are as smart with the science of strength and conditioning as they come, right? You know things about actin-myosin that I don't know. At the end of the day, people have to train. And if you can't squat, do a bodyweight squat. If you can't do a bodyweight squat, do a lunge. If you can't do a lunge, do an RDL. So what I'm doing for just on my page, I've seen a lot of other people doing, I think is great, is, hey, here's some things. Let's all get together. Let's do a workout. Today I'm going to do a little isodynamic thing. So basically we'll do an iso movement for 20 seconds, follow it with a dynamic for 20 seconds, rest 20 seconds, move to the next movement. 5 exercises, 3-4 sets, depending on how fatigued I get since I'm hosting it. And then just move on, because one of my philosophies is do not allow improvement to stand in the way of perfection to stand in the way of improvement. I think so often people look for perfection, and it's like, well, if I can't do it perfect, I'm not going to do it. Or if I can't do it perfect, I'm going to change everything. It's like, no, just improve. If you don't have a barbell at your disposal, lunge up the hill. Jerry Wright's got really good running up and down hills. Don't overthink it.
Yeah, Walter Payton too, right? That was the big thing with him, is that huge hill in Chicago.
Oh, hold on. I just saw a great question right here from my dude, Mr. Holmes. How are you? Detraining effects of 4+ weeks without a heavy load. That's more of a question for you, because to be honest with you, I don't know. Here's the thing. You're going to get weaker if you don't have a bar in your back in 4 weeks, if you're a heavy squatter, if you're a strong human being. But again, you can do things to mitigate that and hopefully, keep your body in shape, and use this as, hey, periodization. You know what? Let's get in shape right now.
I mean, how many times has Buddy said it? How many times are people talking about this now? There's no better exercise that you can do to get stronger, faster, more explosive than sprint.
Hey,
a lot of streets are going to be empty. A lot of hills are going to be empty. Sprint. We are sending bodyweight programs out that are going to be kind of best as possible, following Val Nesdakin's periodization model, and looking at, days that are more lactic, days that are more aerobic, days that are la-da-da-da-da. But at the end of the day, if you're that worried right now about what, Alan, you're my guy. If you're that worried about,
that's a good
one. What their squat numbers are going to be, you are missing the boat. And perform IRL, I couldn't agree more. And it's probably because Nick DeMarco and Cam and those guys and I agree on 9 things out of 10.
And that's the ironic part. By the way, I just saw Meg Burton, Richmond's finest swimmer, G-Dub swimmer. What's up, Meg?
Actually, it's her sister. She swims for Nova, but that's okay. Go ahead.
Let's see, you made me lose my train of thought on that one. But, right now, take this opportunity to get out, train. I completely lost the train of thought, and I saw there was another question. It was about the soft skills.
Yeah, dude. I think we should talk about that, because 1, Alan's a stud.
Yep.
And 2, I think that this is something that you could contribute quite a ton to. And I don't know, so let me read this, because if this recording is working, which would absolutely blow my mind that I figure this out, people won't be able to see it if they're listening. So from Alan Bishop, the too much data collection and soft skill emphasis before learning to master the craft of training athletes. Statement, not a question. But it is a great statement, and it is something that I think that if anybody could address, it's the Todd Hamer.
That's Todd father to you, first off.
Todd Father, sorry.
But I think, you look at Brett Bartholomew, Fergus Conley, these really smart guys out there pumping information out right now in the industry, and they're all going to say the same thing. If you can't communicate to people, if you can't get people to trust in you, and I've won as many battles as I've lost on that end. I've had people trust me. I've had people not trust me. I've had people think I'm a genius. I'm an idiot in the same day, in the same training session. But your goal is to win over the masses, to be a great leader. And at the end of the day, I'll say it, I will stand by this: trust and respect. That's what you're building. Trust and respect. You have to give it, and you have to earn it back from those people that you're giving it to. And if you can earn trust and respect, then you can probably have success as a strength conditioning coach. And to some level, I don't care what the program is. What I care about are your people working hard for you. I got to my current job, and it's not collegiate strength conditioning for the first time ever. And 3 young ladies came up and said, "Hey, we want you to program for our upcoming meet." And I was like, "Sure." And they said, "Would you do the meet?" I said, "Yeah, why not?" So I just backed out of the meet. They haven't canceled it yet, but I think they will. But it's funny. The program was so basic, and the one young lady who I think she pulled like 102% for 3 last week, and she was frustrated she didn't get 4. And I was thinking, you do realize 102% is 102%. You shouldn't do it for 1. You did it for 3. Like, except she's like, "Well, yeah, but I think I was stronger than I showed before." I'm like, it doesn't matter. Whatever you showed is what you showed. If you can deadlift 225 pounds and you get to 235 for 3, that's a distinct improvement. And again, the program was the most simple program. It was, we squatted, we pressed, we deadlifted, we did a bunch of accessories, we did them hard, and that was it. And during that time, we missed a couple sessions. One young lady couldn't make it because she had dental surgery. One young lady couldn't make it, her other job, and things come up in life, and we still had that success. So at the end of the day, it's just about training and just about pushing each other to be better. And, the soft skills: trust your people, respect your people, show some love. When Jamie Christensen took over at G-Dub, first meeting he said, "We're going to love our athletes." And I was like, "All right, I'm on board with whatever you say, Coach. If that's how you start with me, then we're good. We're going to love these guys. We're going to show them love, and we're going to show them everything we have to help them improve as human beings, as athletes." And I was like, "You got it, Coach." Now, you saw they had a tough year this year. Maybe they'll win, maybe they won't win, but I'll be pulling for them just because of that philosophy.
No doubt, man. I think Alan's got a lot right there. I think, though, that you do as well, and it is just about communicating them and getting them to do what they need to do. And I think that it comes back to them understanding what your principles are and what fits and what's important and how you do things. I think that if we're moving now to the point where we're shifting back to, we need to talk more about how we're actually teaching and getting these young people to perform what we're asking them to perform at a higher level, then I think that we're at a pretty good point, because, being one of the older heads in the game, you've seen the
I'm
ups
out of
and
the
downs.
game, brother.
Yeah, but even just the strength game period, like,
Yeah.
you've seen the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows of what people say is good, bad, or indifferent about where we're at. And, there's still some of the timeless conversations of bilateral versus unilateral squatting, and cleaning from the floor versus from the hang, if you even do it, and overhead for throwing athletes, and benching for pitchers. That'll always happen, because people just like to argue. But if we're going back and saying, "Hey, we need to swing this back the other way a bit and focus more on like the technical aspect of teaching," I think that, especially with how the 21st century athlete is, I think that would say we're in a pretty good spot coaching
I'll tell
when
you
it
what,
comes to our relationships.
we're so much better than we were when I started in this field in 1999. We were having the arguments over hit versus not hit. And that was the biggest thing. You remember those days. The one thing I think every strength coach and they need to work in an environment where they have nothing. Work in an environment where necessity becomes a mother of invention. You remember me and shout out my man Jim Roney. Jim's the man, right?
Yep,
Jim,
right.
I mean, the weight room he laid out, you're still working out of. And we used to train. Exactly. Great facility. We used to train at VCU, 6 a.m. We had two of those like pyramid style squat racks. We had the old cam leg press Nautilus thing with the 2x4 that you pressed off of. We had a platform, a glute ham, and dumbbells. And it was, I think, 1,500 square feet broken into 3 different rooms. I had to train teams out there. Me and Jim were in there training, and we were doing dumb things. We were watching the VHSs of Louis Simmons and going in there and being like, yes, we have to do circumax. Let's see how many bands we get attached, and we'd attach it, and we'd unrack the bar, and the dumbbells would pick up because it was too, not enough tension. The dumbbells were too light for the amount of band tension. And I remember doing forward presses and like unracking the bar, and the bar was falling in my throat and almost dying. But we invented these things. We tried new things. Honestly, I at that point was too far down the West Side ideology, if you will, where everyone's squatting wide, everyone has a box squat, everyone, as opposed to looking at each person's unique. And that's a mistake, I think. And I think when you're trying to build a relationship with someone, you can't say everyone's like this and everyone does this. You have to appreciate their uniqueness. I'll give you a perfect example. Curtis Miller, who is our director of customer engagement, great guy, good friend of mine. Curtis, when I got there, he was coaching a few people, and I watched, and I saw some things that I would have done differently. And instead of saying in front of those people, hey, I would do this, I said, Curtis, why are you doing this? And then he justified it. Like one young man was flying down to the bar for his deadlift. And I'm like, no, you need to take your time. And I pulled Curtis and said, listen, I think he needs to slow down. What are your thoughts? And he said, I agree 100%. And I said, can I say it? He said, please don't. I said, why? He said, because he's a head case. And if he takes his time down there, he's going to think about it. So right now, we got to let that dude just fly down the bar, grab it, grip and rip it. He's not in any danger. It's still a safe movement. We'll get back to that in a few weeks, a few months. But, 1 or 2 cues is what Curtis was looking at. And that, to me, is a good coach. Like that right there, I said, Curtis, like, I know you're a good coach because you care. And you know what's best for this young man right now. And it's going to be one step. We can't give you everything at once, just one step at a time. And that, to me, is how you become a good coach. And that's how you show people I care about you as a person. I care, hey, this for you is going to work right now. And my answer so often when people say, does this work? I go, for you right now, no. But maybe in 6 months. Because it might change. I saw another, let me see. I want to read this next comment here. Well said. I think we are at ground level. We can get back to moving. Generally, we have a unique opportunity to correct a lot of bad movement patterns going forward. I think, correcting movement patterns is training. Training is correcting movement patterns. Correcting movement patterns is training. I think when you try to isolate things, you struggle. And don't get me wrong in that. There's time and a place for isolation movements. There's time and a place to break down movements. There's time and a place to use correctives in a good manner. But I think if all you're ever doing is correcting, then why isn't every one of your athletes perfect? You have to be correcting through training. Go Spiders.
Fair statement. I like that. And I think, although I do think that's part of, I think that's Louis coming out in you again a little bit, I'm going to be honest. Right? Because isn't that the whole idea of your accessory and special exercises and your max effort exercises are to correct what issues you may or may not have in the lifts?
Well, I'll give you a perfect example. So I have, and I actually saw she logged on. So Jocelyn, if you're listening, I'm talking about you. This young lady, she does CrossFit, and she's working with us now, doing a great job, covering a lot of things while we're closed, and I appreciate it. But she was doing floor press, and she was doing 5s. And she did SF5, and she said, what do you think? I'm like, throw a 5 on each side. You'll be fine. And she did 4, and she missed. And then, again, this is the West Side of me coming out. I'm looking at it thinking, why would you miss that? Where's your grind? But then I forget, as someone who trains in CrossFit, they know how to work through, metabolically. They're going to keep going. But when you talk about that true grind, that's where they're going to have struggles because they haven't done that. The true max effort lifts when you're really trying to push yourself, when you're really trying to get to that one. And that's where I think when you look at Louis stuff, when you look at the West Side stuff, you want to teach someone to grind, hit some max effort lifts. Teach them that. It takes time. And some athletes, as you know, they're just like, high strung, and they can explode a rep and then miss the next rep.
Oh yeah.
And you know what? That's not necessarily wrong. Why would we want to slow that athlete down? Don't slow the person down. Let them use their strength, and especially if you're looking at, say, you're working with a basketball player. Hey, here, let me teach you how to grind. Why? You know, how's that going to help? Brian Mann made a great point. I saw him this summer. We were having some beers together with your boy Cav, and actually Brian was having whiskey, of course. And Brian said, if a guy squats 500 at 0.3 meters per second, and then he squats 550 at 0.18, is he creating more force? Is he being more powerful? And I think it's a great question, because all you did is teach him how to grind. And you've probably seen the graph before is, you know, freshman year, max effort lift is at 0.3. Sophomore year, it's at, 2.4. Junior year, it's down at 1.8. And then by senior year, you have guys grinding at 0.16. Well, did they get stronger, or did they just learn how to grind? I think you have to balance that. Are you making them really good power lifters, or are you making them better athletes? I think there's a huge balance right now. And honestly, I don't have that answer. I don't know. You might know the science, probably know the science on that better than I do.
Well, there's a lot of those arguments, right? Like there's the one where they say, like, do athletes actually, like, that are going into the combine get faster, and what are they doing? Because, there's different equations you can look at when you're looking at, like, body weight versus speed and yada, yada, yada when it comes to power and force output. But I think that what you're talking about is the reason why we stay away from max effort stuff, is that, I look at max effort stuff more of, it would be like a J ego thing. Like, it would be really cool to have a dozen guys who can squat double their body weight, or, can pull 2.5 times their body weight. And, like, because that'd be cool, because that'd be stuff that, like, you and I would really be keen on, right? Or, like, how many guys can bench 300 pounds? Like again, like, that'd be great. But what does that matter? Like, are you able to teach them to reverse the force, right, from down to up, from up to down? To, can they bounce? Can they be elastic? Can you identify whether they push or they bounce? Can they sprint? Are they fast? Can they cut?
Mm-hmm.
Can they put their foot in the ground and change direction? Can they sit and guard somebody? Can a swimmer bend their knees and push their hips back to get into a position where they can actually get the starting block, let alone talk about getting off the wall? I mean, we could talk about that till we're blue in the face. I mean, that's stuff when you're talking about the role of max effort strength in that sport is, I don't even know if it's even existing, because it's just like, it's almost isokinetic at most times, because the water changes how you can pull and push and this, that, and the third. And are you really sinking when you hit the wall, or are you just pushing? But what's funny is you notice that the people that are best at the wall, or the people that best load the jump, don't necessarily jump the best, but load the jump the best. So I don't know. But I know that, when we talk about these things with risk and reward, I don't know if teaching them how to grind is as important as some of those other characteristics and qualities,
Yeah, and I think you bring up, you bring up the outlier in swimming. Because the thing with swimmers, as we both know, is they're legitimately like fish out of water whenever they come to train.
Some
Like
of them.
most swimmers I've worked with, they move like they're still swimming. I'm like, what, stop, just can you tighten up? And so I haven't worked with swimming a ton throughout my career. There have been seasons when I was at Marist, I had swimming. At GW, I oversaw it, but I'm an assistant with them. So I have worked with swimming, but I'm far from an expert on the sport. But honestly, I wouldn't probably be using a lot of max effort with swimmers. I mean, what's the point? Most of them, I can get them stronger through repetition. I can get them strong. I could just go 5-3-1.
We do one by, so there's about 2/3 of my Nova team. One of them actually is like a really good squatter that keeps hitting the like button over and over and over.
I think those hearts. I know that not that many people like us.
Yeah, no. I would actually argue that I think that that's kind of the beauty behind the 1x20, though, right? Is that you're taking a group of people and you're putting them in a kind of a foreign environment, and you're allowing them to take their time and learn. See, Aiden's just going crazy with this. Allowing them to take their time and progress slowly and understand how to figure out these things without sitting there and putting them in a position where now, like, it's kind of like the beauty with 5-3-1, right? You're just going to do a little bit more the next time. When you're ready, you do a little bit more the next time. It's like that, only you have more opportunities to do more the next time or not do more if you're not ready to do more. So that's why I think that works really well for these young people, is it allows them to go at their own pace. Because
that's a 5-3-1, the APRE, any program where I love open sets. I love getting to the end saying you have 1+ or 2+ or 3+. It gives people the opportunity to challenge themselves. It gives people that opportunity to say, where am I going? But it also gives, you don't have to test then, because your last set, it gives you data. Okay, 1x20 for president. I'll vote anyone right now. But I like that comment right there. DeMayo Hamer, 2020.
Oh, no way.
Not going to tell you who's president, who's vice president. You'll find out on election day. But so I think when you have those open sets, it gives you data. I personally hate test day. One of my issues with dealing with football was test day. Everything is always with football. Lead up to test day. What are you doing for test day? We're going to read for test day. I'm like, I don't need a test day if I see a young man or a female, if it's a different sport, hit 90% for 5, I have data. I don't need to go and hit 100 next week. And I think that's a mistake we make too often. And I think football leads the way in it. And I'm not attacking all football strength coaches, because it's driven by the head coach. I got to bench 405. Everyone got to bench 405. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard, but it's repeated all the time. I'm just reading these equestrian team. I don't know if I would max effort lift an equestrian team. I don't think I would. I think I would just try to make them generally fitter and stronger, but I think that's...
Might be putting the cart in front of the horse.
Oh, boy. I hear I'm not looking stately anymore. Again, hat head, didn't trim my beard up today, so I do appreciate that. And my man Mike Kelly with the great comments, just gravity. So I got to tell a quick story. My man Marcellus Branch played football at Robert Morris, was in the XFL, got picked up by the Steelers for a little bit. And he would always come in the weight room and be like, I'm squatting today, coach. I'm squatting. Now, this guy benched 405 at corner. So a very strong guy. And he would always say, it's just gravity. That's all it is. It's just gravity. And I always loved that, because his mentality is what we all need. Just gravity, just overcome gravity. It could be a vertical jump, could be whatever you're doing. Gravity's pushing you down, you're overcoming it. Squatting, deadlifting, pressing, cleans, whatever your movement is. And I don't care what your movements are that you base your program around, as long as A, you're following specific adaptation to imposed demand, and B, progressive overload. Or are you somehow overloading the athlete? If you're doing 1x20, at some point, either technique got better, maybe the time of the set got quicker because they're able to get through it easier. The weight got, there's multiple ways to overload without just add weight to the bar, add weight to the bar, add weight to the bar. And I think that's a mistake people make sometimes, is how did you shorten rest periods? Did you get through a set faster? Like I said, was technique better? I truly believe if technique was better, I'll count that as progressive overload for this week. Now you probably have to add weight in the future, but any of those things could be progressive overload.
Well, I think too that the subjective aspect of that is important too, right? Like if you're not able to take a step back and ask, what do you think? When they finish the set, like sitting there and just saying, yeah, that was better because it looked better. What if it felt like a bathroom wall on their back? Like it doesn't,
I've never felt a bathroom wall on my back. One time at a concert, I felt when the Porta-John tipped over. Well, I'll tell you that story over some beers at Juniata. But no, I agree. There it is right there, asking your athlete the question. I don't remember who it might have been you, it might have been man, it might have been someone smarter than me, but they were talking basically about how subjective questionnaires were just as good as any data we were getting. I think we were talking about Whoop, when everybody gets this Whoop craze and everyone's buying Whoop around me, and I politely, I'm like, please don't. And they're like, why? And I say, I don't know. I'll have to talk to Jay. He knows more about it than I do, but I trust his opinion. And ask people, how do you feel today? Like right now, I feel pretty good. I'd probably have a pretty good lift if I went in. 9 out of 10 times I'm right based upon how I feel. I didn't even get a great night's sleep last night. Me and my son decided to camp out. We set TP up in the living room, so I slept half on the couch, half on the floor. I was all over the place. But right now, I feel like I'd have a good training day. So I think just asking those simple questions is huge.
No doubt. All right, Ham, I don't want to take too much of your time.
No, I appreciate you. We're going to go do a workout on my page. If you want to come over, let's go.
I'm going to hop over there and check that out too, brother. But nah, dude, appreciate your time. Hopefully I've actually been recording this and it'll work and we can go from there. But yeah, man, always, bro. Great to see you. Glad you're doing great and keep kicking butt up there.
I appreciate you, my man. Talk to you soon and keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, bro. Cheers.
And a huge thanks to Todd Hamer for spending the time with us. Guys, again, Ham's just someone that's always been out there trying to find a better way to communicate, to motivate, to develop the athletes that he gets to work with, and has always been a person that's been open and honest and candid with his sharing. I can't thank Todd enough for everything he's doing to help us all be better. I really and truly hope that y'all enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. And if you did, please share it through the social media outlet of your choice, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it may be. As always, we're just trying to get the best information out there to all the great coaches that we can. And as always, guys, thank you for everything that you do for us here at Central Virginia Sport Performance. We'll be back next week with another awesome guest. We will see you then.